Oh, it's hot. It is 80 out right now. It's supposed to get up to mid to upper 80s today. It must be humid because, well, I'm sweating already. Anyways, I'm really glad I put this window here because it makes it pretty easy to load some of these bigger boards up. I was able to get some up onto this ledge and then on a smaller load, but this was there were a lot more boards in there a little bit ago, and that had me teetering on the front tire. All these 2x6s on the right were on that load, and they're all 16, 10, and 12 footers. So anyways, got my first load of trusses down there. So my goal is to work on this lower half and get some walls up down there and get some trusses up and see how that goes, and eventually get to this upper half. So I can, with the crane, I can lower those trusses onto this side. So my thought was to build this whole section, build the section down here, which would greatly reduce my amount of lumber up here, so I can readjust that off to the side, bring the trusses up onto this level, build this wall, and then slowly put them up one by one. I gotta get the scaffolding up here because, you know, this ceiling height is 13.4, I believe, 13.4, 13.5. So you get the scaffolding to help put the trusses in place. But I want to try and get these walls going so I can get something up and get those trusses in there. I honestly can't remember if I showed the finished stairs or not. Pretty sure I did, but it turned out pretty much just the way we wanted. And then we did get a couple layers of sheeting on, so that really helped stiffen it up. I really wanted to do the insulation first and then put the sheeting on. I actually called Huber, who makes the Zip sheeting, and was told not to do that. And I understand why, because, and that was my concern all along, is if you put a 1-inch gap there and then you put your sheeting on the outside, this is structural sheeting. Sheeting is structural. It's going to keep your body or your framing from moving around. But engineering specs show that's only structural when it's directly attached to the framing. So if I put a gap in there and the building is shaking, that nail is going to be doing this, and could potentially just eventually snap the nails off, and then you just defeated everything. So the resolve I've come up with, the main reason why I wanted to run the sheeting down to the footing I have here is because I wanted to insulate this. If that came all the way down, then this would be have some insulation factor on the outside of this concrete. And then on the other side of this is my radiant heat and more insulation underneath the slab, which we showed in some previous videos. So that was my main intent. I also wanted to have the insulation come down smooth, and then I was going to seal that off. I already have, you can see my sealant under there for the framing. Oh, just a nail there. So now I'm going to come back and go ahead and seal under here with the same material, and then I'm going to take 1.5 inch foam and cut it to length and slap that up against there. Then my 1-inch foam is going to come down and dead end into that 1.5 inch, and then I'll probably tape that as well. So this ought to, you know, work out pretty good. But that's how I'm getting around, is I'm going to cut 1.5 inch foam along that slab edge, and then that should resolve it, hopefully make things the way I want them to be in the original plan. I still like to try and get some brick on here. My brick ledge in areas, you can see right here, gets very thin, but there's going to be a slab here, so that's okay. I can still build on that. I'm not worried about the front half at all. I done some, pretty sure I did a video on this old lift I have, which has pretty much been a pain. When I bought it, I redid all the hoses up to the top all the way back, which was interesting because trying to feed a dozen hoses through this little pipe is pretty tough. But anyways, the difficulty I'm having is I replaced the controller up here, but I still can't get things to quite operate the way I want them to. So what I've done, well, the big issue I'm having is these solenoid. There was 3, one there, one down below there, and then this one. The solenoids basically don't work anymore, and I cannot find a replacement for them. Here's the one of the solenoids. So I can't find a replacement for it to get it to work. And this is also a gas powered one. So what I've had to do is the controls down here pretty much work. I've got to have someone running it down here because the upper controls don't do much at all. And to lower it, sometimes it lowers, sometimes it doesn't, but there's a relief valve on this side, right there, that knob. So the person would have to go around, slowly turn that so they would lower the boom. So what I've done is I've ordered a new motor, an electric one with a 6-way, what's it called, 6-port 2-way valves. So for the 6, I've got one that rotates, one that lifts, and then the one that extends the bucket out. And then I really need another one that controls the bucket level. I'll have to figure that out when it gets here. But another problem with this is that when you would be out at a distance trying to work on it, or trying to use the lift, and as it rotates, whoever is using down here using those has to step over everything as it rotates around. So the new controller I got, it's got like a 20-foot cord on it where they can stand back and use it. And I'm looking into wireless circuits, basically, or wireless controller. And I'm going to get rid of basically all the hoses all up through here, except for this one to run the boom level and the bucket level, and then just put basically a wireless controller up there, because this box pretty much doesn't do anything. I've changed the switches out and still can't get stuff to work quite properly. So anyways, that should be in hopefully before the end of the week, and then I can get to work on trying to figure that out, because I'm going to need this. My thought too was to use it to lift the trusses up, especially the ones on the ends. Had a good amount of rain last night, which was unexpected. So I just got out here and saw a little buddy. There's a black rat snake. These guys are actually pretty friendly. I used to pick them up all the time as kids, keep them in a fish tank for a while. But they're friendly snakes. They're good snakes. They'll keep mice down and things. So this guy's like about 4 feet long. They can get up to, a good 7-8 feet long. But good snake to have around. Just let him be. So we had a unexpected storm last night. It blew in about 4 o'clock, and it looks like my canopy held up. So all of a sudden I was really concerned that it was going to just destroy that. There was like a 10% chance of storm, so luckily I buttoned everything down, but I hurt my shoulder yesterday and didn't want to haul everything down and haul it back up. I got a rotator cuff injury I've been nursing. It's no fun. So my shoulder hurts, my wrists hurt, everything hurts. And then it looks like, yeah, stayed good and dry. That's good, because I was really not looking forward to having to buy a new saw. So, but I just strapped up a block there and got it screwed into the ground and strapped to the wall. So luckily it all seems to have worked out okay. So yesterday I got a couple walls up. Today I hope to work on the end walls. The issue I'm having is that there's an 8-foot ceiling in here, and that 8-foot ceiling comes straight out and ties in my rafters coming up this way. So the difficulty I'm having is figuring out how to see how far this comes out before it hits the rafter without having the wall on top to run a string line there or down. So my plan today is actually just put in a temporary height up here, run my string down, and then I can get my angle, correct angle that way. The angle was supposed to be 45 degrees, which would have been easy to draft and figure out. But the problem was that things kept changing. So I added a nailer, which raised everything 1.5 inches on the outside wall. And then I got the trusses in yesterday, and instead of the ends being 3.5 inches, they're more like 4 inches. So that of course throws everything off. So it's just constant changing, and I didn't want to put those angled walls in until I knew for sure what was what. So now I got the trusses in, you can see them down there. A couple of these walls built. I'm going to go ahead and try and get that angle taken care of. So, and again, as before, you should be able to see here that all my studs and everything are going to line up, and directly on top of these will be the ceiling joist, and directly on top of that will be the trusses. Everything will line up and weight will transfer directly down to the footings. So anyways, got a nice muddy mess again. At least it's cooler today. It was 90 something yesterday. Of course now it's all sunny, so now it's going to get probably hot and humid. At least it's a cool start to the day. So, alright, I'm going to get to work.